Have you ever looked at your life and quietly thought, God, this is not what we discussed? You had vision boards, timelines, prayer details. By this age, you thought you'd be married, financially stable, doors opened, healing happened, but instead, it feels delayed, confusing, and off script. And maybe the hardest part isn't the struggle itself. It's that you trusted God and it still didn't unfold the way you imagined. So, how do you trust God when your life looks nothing like planned? Lesson 320. Let's talk about it. One of the most uncomfortable moments in faith is when obedience doesn't produce predictability. You prayed, fasted, tried to do things the right way, but life still surprised you, and somewhere deep inside you assumed that following God meant things would make sense. But nowhere in Scripture does God promise clarity, He promises presence. Isaiah 55:8-9 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." That sounds beautiful until His higher ways disrupt your carefully organized plans, because it means this: God will often allow a path that contradicts your expectations, not to harm you, but to grow you. Proverbs 3:5-6 tells us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight." Notice the tension. Trust and do not lean on your understanding. Why would God tell us not to lean on understanding? Because your understanding is built on what you can see right now. You see delay, loss, or rejection, but God sees development, protection, and redirection. Trust begins exactly at the point where your explanation ends, and that's uncomfortable because we like control. We like knowing timeline, outcome, and the meaning of seasons. But if you could see everything God sees, you wouldn't need faith. You won't need God. Faith lives in the gap between promise and manifestation. However, let's talk about the middle. This is the space between the beginning and your breakthrough, the space between when God spoke and when it happens. Abraham was promised a son, years passed, no son. David was anointed king, years passed, no throne. Joseph dreamed of leadership, instead he got betrayal, slavery, and prison. None of that looked like the dream, but Genesis 50:20 reveals something powerful. Joseph later says, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Notice he didn't say God caused the betrayal. He said God used it. There's a difference. God doesn't waste pain. The middle season feels like silence, delay. It feels like you misunderstood the promise. But what if the middle is where God builds the version of you that can handle the promise? It's because sometimes the blessing would crush the current version of you, so God develops you quietly before He elevates you publicly. Let's be honest. Sometimes we're not confused. We are disappointed. Expect more progress by now. Expect a clearer direction. We expect quicker answers and we don't say it out loud, but we think it. God, why didn't you come through? Even John the Baptist, who baptized Jesus, and had a moment of doubt. In Matthew 11:3, he sent word asking Jesus, "Are you the one who is to come, or should we expect someone else?" This is John, the same man who saw heaven open and heard the voice of God. But prison will make you question things you were once confident about. And Jesus didn't rebuke him, He reassured him. Here's what that tells me: struggling doesn't disqualify you. Faith isn't the absence of questions. Faith is choosing to trust even when you don't have answers. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him." For it doesn't say all things are good, it says God works them for good. But what is good? Sometimes we think good means comfortable, but biblically, good often means transformed. God is more committed to your character than your convenience, more focused on your depth than your speed, and that can feel frustrating when you just want progress. But imagine reaching your destination without the maturity to sustain it. Imagine getting the relationship without the emotional health to protect it, getting the money without the discipline to steward it, getting the platform without the humility to handle it. Preparation often feels like delay, but delay is not denial, and silence is not absence. Trust isn't emotional hype. Trust is quiet consistency, and to have that relentless, deep discipline is where many fail and resort back to their comfort zone. It's waking up and praying when nothing has changed, obeying when the reward isn't visible, worship when the outcome is uncertain, and continuing when quitting feels logical. Psalm 37:5 says, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will act." Notice the order: commit, trust, then He acts. We often want, He acts, then we trust, but that's not trust. That's negotiation. Trust says, God, even if this doesn't unfold the way I imagined, I still believe you are good. That's maturity. But maybe, just maybe, this isn't a detour, it's direction. What if this chapter isn't off track? What if it's on track, just not on your track? Some of you think you're behind, but maybe you're being protected. Some of you think you missed it, but maybe God rerouted you from something that would have damaged you long term. Sometimes we only understand seasons in hindsight. This is why God says in Joel 2:25, I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten. God Himself knows the future that you keep worrying about, and He knows exactly what you need if you let Him work it out for you. One day you may look back and say, if that had worked out, I would have settled. If that door opened, I wouldn't have grown. If that relationship lasted, I would have shrunk. God sees what you don't. And trust means believing that even when your life looks nothing like planned, it is still held, still guided, still intentional, still purposeful. Maybe the real struggle isn't that life looks different. Maybe it's that you're still holding on to your script. You wrote it carefully, designed it thoughtfully, and prayed over it sincerely. But what if God is asking you to hand Him the pen? Trust isn't passive, it's surrender. It is actually the good consequences of your prayer. You just have to take that leap of faith. It's saying, God, I don't understand this chapter, but I trust the author. And here's the beautiful truth. God has never abandoned a story halfway through or give up on what you see it's an impossible. Philippians 1:6 reminds us, He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. If He started it, He will finish it, not according to your calendar, but according to His wisdom. So here's my challenge for you. Stop measuring your life against your old timeline. Start measuring it against God's faithfulness. Instead of asking, why isn't this happening yet? Ask, God, what are you forming in me right now? Keep Him in your thought and never give up. And if this message spoke to you, I want you to do something bold in the comments. Write, I trust you even here. Not when it makes sense, not when it's easy, not when it's comfortable, and even here. Because sometimes the most powerful faith isn't loud, it's steady. And if you're in a season where life looks nothing like planned, you're not lost. You're being shaped, and one day you'll realize this chapter wasn't the interruption, it was the preparation. Trust Him, even here. God bless you all.